Hi, Filmedics. Welcome to the show. Thank you for tuning in. Today, we have a very special guest. We have James Fox. James Fox is, wow, he does a lot of stuff. He's an award winning screenwriter, director, producer, and a book author. James, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me, Marilyn. I'm excited to be a film addict.
Yeah, we have such a great audience that is enjoying our spectacular guests like you. And I want to let everyone know, where are you streaming live with us today from?
I'm about 20 minutes outside of Yosemite National Park, actually, right now. So,
what is that like? Yosemite,
yeah,
I've never been there. Is that with all the big trees?
yeah, it's beautiful right now. We got a little dusting of snow last night, so everything's just sparkling and beautiful. So it's really great. If you haven't been to Yosemite, you really should check it out. I personally think it's the most beautiful place on earth.
Oh wow! And like how are those are some of the biggest trees in the world, or is that the other place with the tallest trees?
It definitely has some of the biggest trees. The giant sequoias, the General Sherman tree. It's got all those big redwoods and sequoias. So it's pretty fun, pretty good place.
The General Sherman tree. Wow, that they could have a whole movie about that.
Yeah, for sure.
And is that the place where you drive the cars through the tree, or no? That's it.
You know what? That was the place that you could drive through the tree. But I believe that tree fell down actually just recently, just from the years of car pollution. It finally killed the tree, and I think it fell down. Don't quote me on that, but I seem to recall hearing about that.
Oh man, you mean the car pollution killed the tree? Oh gosh, what a world we live in, the good, the bad, and the ugly. But hopefully, you're going to share some amazing things with our audience today, which I know you will. And I want to ask you, growing up, what is one of your favorite childhood films?
Oh God, that's such a hard question. Obviously Star Wars was, just a huge inspiration for me and my career. I think I watched The Goonies like every single day. It was kind of like my mantra. I would like wake up and like meditate to The Goonies and then go about my day.
I love The Goonies. Oh yeah, The Goonies is the best ever. Even though there wasn't any girls in there, I pretended like I was one of the Goonies.
It's just one of those films where it was very indicative of my childhood growing up, just kind of like running around with my friends, doing kind of whatever we wanted and making up stories to have adventures with every day. So, I think that was very formative for my childhood.
Oh yeah, I mean, such a cute film, Goonies, and oh my god, I love all of them. Gremlins, Bedknobs and Broomsticks, you name it. I watch, I love all that stuff, and and it's kind of funny because like when we grew up, I guess like I'm a little bit older than you, but we played outside and we played, whatever things like we were like the pirates, Indian. If you're allowed to say if you're a pirate or Indian, a cowboy or whatever you were, but now they have like film to do it on like TikTok or Instagram, so they're kind of doing the same thing, but like actually making money from it right away.
Yeah. We were playing with our mom's pots and pans out in the mud in the field, and now kids are shooting films at age 8. Yeah, it's a wild world we live in.
Exactly, pots and pans on rocks and making mud villages and mud people out of clay. I'd make clay people, and climbing the trees and I remember falling from a tree and I thought I was gonna. I just was like, oh my god, I'm falling, and I was like, that was it, and I'm gonna get in trouble for being in the tree and falling. I was so scared. I was so scared that my dad would kill me for knowing that, and then I landed into a pile of leaves, and somehow I made it. Nothing was broken, and I think I must. I don't know if I had an angel or someone gently landed me on these leaves. But yeah, those were the best days, playing outdoors and just really playing, and just enjoying yourself.
Oh yeah.
But so I want to talk to you, like, because you have this fantastic career, and I was wondering, do you possibly have like a favorite Criterion film that possibly inspired you to go on your film path as a filmmaker?
There's a huge collection. I mean, I could sit here and like rattle off like some of the greats. Growing up, I got obsessed with Hitchcock films. Just the way the camera participated in the story was just insane to me. I loved it. Even at a young age, I remember reacting to the camera work and everything. Kurosawa, obviously, as I got into film school, it really kind of helped shape and define how I interpret characters and influenced me as a director. So, I mean, everything on the list. I actually just reviewed that list a couple days ago, and I was surprised to see Armageddon on it, Michael Bay's film. I loved that film growing up, so that definitely was like I find myself quoting that film even to this day pretty regularly. So I guess technically, if I had to pick one right now, it would be Armageddon.
Oh my gosh, Armageddon. Well, you got to give me some quotes because everyone's been like, oh, he says he quotes it. He didn't give us any quotes. So you have to, they're going to want to hear.
I think the one that I don't know if I should. There's a Steve Buscemi line in it where he's writing the nuclear weapon or whatever, and he says a line. You can go up there and take a look at it. I'm not going to say it over the air, but okay. I wind up saying it pretty regularly, just being silly as like non sequiturs. But yeah, it's a good quotable movie.
And I love Steve Buscemi. He's such a great like actor. He does. I mean, and especially Mr. Pink. Come on now.
Oh my gosh.
People are like, why do I have to be stuck with the name Mr. Pink in the movie? Gosh, but I mean, and Living Oblivion. Do you remember that one?
Mm-hmm.
Where like everything goes wrong on the independent movie set that can go wrong, and he was the director. I mean, it just reminded me because I don't know about you. I'm an indie filmmaker making every film with no money, doing everything by myself, and somehow, like when I saw that movie, I was like, oh, and the milk that he drank, that was terrible.
Yeah, I mean, you could just solidarity. I mean, every independent filmmaker can kind of look at that and be like, "Yep, I've been there."
And the pain when you don't have enough money. The pain.
Oh, right.
You're like, why am I doing this? For the love of art.
I mean, I've been down the road where we were like, okay, who's the healthiest of us and who doesn't need their kidney? We got to get this film made.
Oh gosh, yeah. And you also liked Breakfast Club, which is wow, what incredible! It takes place in one right, the one room location.
It's one location. Yeah, it's again, it was another one of those films where it kind of like shaped me as a kid. I kind of hate saying that because it's such a weird movie, but it's definitely one that I like watched and like developed as a small human being around these characters and such a great character journey, right? I mean, the Breakfast Club's all about the characters. So those were my friends growing up. Like I knew them so well. They were like they lived down the street from me. I think that especially like in the 80s and 90s when it was all about characters, you really bonded with them. They were, I moved around a lot as a kid. So, these were like my staple friends. They were the people that I knew the best.
Yeah, I moved around a lot too. Was your dad in the military by any chance?
He wasn't. We just moved. We wound up moving around a lot. I'm not sure why. It's just one of those California families that like to kind of hop around a bit.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because it was hard being like a new person at school. It was real tough. Like, talk about like you're new, you don't know anyone, and you try to make a first friend and going to that lunchroom where you're like, I hope somebody sits with me. Please don't let me sit by myself. Oh my God, this is so torturous. But yeah, so that Breakfast Club, you were just like, I know these people. Yep. And I know that person that, does that hair stuff and also the nose stuff.
Oh yeah. I remember in high school. There was one of the kids that did the like dandruff thing. Where he's like just scratching his hair and like watching the dandruff fall. Like I remember sitting there watching him, going, "Oh man, I recognize this behavior," and walked up to him, was like, "Hey, let's be friends."
or you're also maybe going, I'm so glad that there's 6 feet social distance right now. But yeah, those movies and like the John Hughes films, like I remember the 16 Candles. You're like, oh, Molly Ringwald, come on, and all those actors. And Iron Man, what was it? Below, what was it? Below Zero, or what was it? not true romance, but Robert Downey Jr.'s film when there was the three of them in that movie. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh yeah.
I forget the name. We'll have to go. Someone's gonna have to Google. That's the one we need our live audience. I need that, like on Conan or those talk show where they have like their person that can Google
Yeah.
everything live on here. Like, hey, assistant,
Yeah.
can you like Google that for me real quick? And the English person, because I always have an English person now. Oh yes, I got it. Oh yeah, it was blah 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 blah. But my dog, it does not know how to use her paws on the computer really good. So anyhow. So
Yeah, I mean, all those films, like, Mannequin, Weird Science, even like, the kind of crazier ones like Romancing the Stone, like, it's just all those like kind of cool character driven adventure type films, whether it was an adventure in a relationship or treasure hunting, with like Romancing the Stone or Goonies. Big Trouble in Little China, that's another one that just like I watched it all the time.
oh yeah, so many people love Big Trouble Big Trouble in Little China, right? What a
Mm-hmm.
up yeah, like what is it, yin and yang?
Exactly.
Yeah, and when you said the mannequin, oh my God, that brings up so many the mannequin. Wow, that was a good one, right? I mean, that brings you back.
Mm-hmm.
And what was that movie? There was actually what what was it? What's his name? Gosling did a movie where he had that doll, like he ordered a doll that came to his house. It was really cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, like where he had the doll, like he ordered a doll online, and that was his friend. It was a real trippy movie, but it was really great. Yeah. But anyhow, but I'm gonna look up that movie because it's one of my favorite movies of Robert Downey Jr. While we continue to, can you share with us some, like, because you're a director, and I was wondering, can you share a favorite director that you love in a film shot that stands out to you?
Oh, goodness. Well, I mean, obviously, I've got a list, like Lucas and Spielberg and Howard and, all those guys because I grew up with them. I grew up with their films. They shaped me as a storyteller. I love Joss Whedon. I love the way he handles character. Again, it's another one of those. I'm a very character based storyteller. So, everything that Joss Whedon touches, the characters just come alive. So yeah, I mean, Nolan is great. There's so many. I feel like we're really spoiled as a generation of moviegoers because just so many good stories are being told. Favorite shots. Wow, there's so many. I you know, that's a tough one. I feel like that would take a lot of like qualifiers. Like my favorite shot for single shot is this. My favorite shot for visual effects is this. I guess the shot that moved me the most, I think, recently was the shot in the new Star Wars film where the rebels go into they warp away, they go into light speed and they like punch it through one of the Star Destroyers and they like rip it in half, and that shot they did of the visual effects where the Star Destroyer just gets like shredded. I loved it. I loved it so much. I remember gasping in the theater and like a tear coming to my eye just over how pretty the shot was. In a way, it was bad because it totally removed me, the filmmaker, from the like immersion of the story, and I just sat there and like, really freaked out over the shot.
What an incredible shot. Wow. Like that's a good one. No one's ever told us about that one, and the skill and the craftsmanship to go into that shot where it's just so beautiful, and stunning the way, just the master filmmaker behind that was able to storyboard that and be the director of that vision and able to carry that out. Because sometimes, like we were talking about how like films in the 70s and 80s, more like the directorship had more control, and now like it seems like it's more corporate, so there's probably more hats on the table, maybe a lot of more people telling you what to do as opposed to what you may be able to do. So to see a shot like that get executed, like you said, it just you just look at it and go, wow, I mean, it's stunning.
Oh yeah, Yeah. Oh, totally. And there's a lot of science that goes into it too, like the way they flash the screen in an otherwise dark setting where it makes your eyes dilate real quick and then it goes away. Like, there's so much that goes into a shot like that that just makes you physically feel what's happening. It's incredible. I love it when the science and storytelling kind of smash together into filmmaking to create something unique and amazing.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that shot. Everyone's going to go watch that film too, and go look at that and study that. Which is, you study the masters. That's what you do, so you can learn and grow and learn from the best. That's what I believe. And my assistant, hello, lovely English assistant. Oh yes, he wants to tell you it was Less Than Zero, Robert Downey's film. Remember Less Than Zero?
There you go. Yeah, Less Than Zero. Yeah, that was a great one.
Yeah, thank you, Hilda. So, we have fun on our show, right?
That's right. Yeah, I just going through memory lane. I spent so much time watching movies as a kid. I think I lived in I actually worked in a movie theater just out of high school, and so there was a good like 2 years where I watched everything.
Oh, where did you grow up? Like, were you in LA? You were in LA somewhere, right?
I was in Central California in the raisin capital of the world, Selma. So,
it has raisins. Wow, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Have you written a story about raisins yet?
No, I haven't. But I will say that my hometown has definitely like made its way into a lot of my stories. A lot of the kind of small town hometown feel is something that I really resonate with, and it definitely has influenced my storytelling.
Yeah, well, we love character-driven stories, and they're always, amazing to watch. And right now, I think people are hungry for them. Like when I say hungry, they need them because there's so much big action, explosions, and like action-based. So people do fall in love with characters and action-driven stories because we all love them. Like the Queen's Gambit, right? The story about a girl in the orphanage that's a chess player, and I believe that was passed on by a lot of people, kind of like the Rockies of the world, like. I want to do you like my script? And I want to act in it. Well, good luck with that. See ya. Don't let the door hit you in the beginning. But then when they're made, there's something magical about passionate filmmakers that have this vision, that wrote this screenplay that has such heart and soul. So I really love that there's more streaming, and hopefully they'll embrace new talented filmmakers, which is my goal here on this channel, is to hopefully discover new talent in all their fields, whether you're a woman, a man, or, because everyone here has been working so hard, and most of us are hyphens. We had to write, direct, produce, act, do everything with little budget or no budget. So I want to ask you, how did you start your career path? You were watching films in high school at a theater, and, I heard that you actually studied genetics engineering.
Yeah. So I was a science kid growing up, and I actually, when I graduated high school, I went into a genetic engineering program, and it was interesting. Like I wanted to cure cancer. That was growing up. That's all I wanted to do, and it was like 3 o'clock in the morning one night in the lab. I was watching slime crawl across glass, and I was all by myself. And I said, "What am I doing? I can't do this." So I left the program. Didn't know what I was going to do. Left scholarship money on the table. Like just totally walked away, much to my parents' dismay. And
wow, my goodness, you had a scholarship. The slime. Did you see art in the slime? Did you see something in the slime?
I saw everything in the slime. I would do everything to keep myself entertained while I was, in this program. And it wasn't a bad program. It's just I just way too social for something like that. So, and then I kind of stumbled into the filmmaking as a career. A friend called me up and needed a ride to an audition. She was down in LA, had moved away to pursue an acting career, and she needed a ride to an audition. So she was in town, and I drove her. And when I got there, they kind of took her away, and they're like, "You need to come over here, and you need to go over here." And I was like, "Okay." And I was waiting for her to finish. So I just went with these people, PAs, I guess, and got put in a holding room with like 50 other people who looked like me. handed a script, and told which lines that I needed to read, and I need to be ready in 5 minutes with my scene partner. And I didn't do drama in high school. I was never in a play. I didn't even do choir. I was a band and sports kid. So I was like, I started to freak out, and my scene partner really wanted the part. I had no idea what was going on, and I played high school football, so I'm very into like team sports. I didn't want to let my teammate down, so I was like, well, okay, I'll just memorize this really fast, and I'll do the best that I can, dude. I'm sorry, I'm not an actor. Anyway, so the next day I got a call back and wound up landing the part for the lead's flashback character in a Vietnam War film. And subsequently lost the friend that I drove to the audition because she didn't get a call back, and she was very upset. But anyway, so I did the film. I figured, why not? I'm not doing anything else. And it was such a cool experience. It was an indie film. It was amazing. I got to meet some really cool people. It was based on a real person, and he was actually there. So we had like 3 generations of this character. We had the original guy, we had his contemporary representation, and then me as his flashback. So I got to hear all these cool stories, and it just like, I don't know, I loved it. The acting was hard. It was the hardest job I've ever had. I've never run so much in my life. And
as a football player, what? That says a lot. You were running around.
Oh my gosh, it was nuts. It was nuts. It was so much running and craziness, and like I got to jump out of a helicopter, which was so much fun. But the part that I loved was when I would rap for the day, I would become a PA for the director, and I'd just like bring him his coffee, hold his clipboard, follow him around and just watch what he was doing. And I fell in love with it. I was like, this looks amazing. Like, he's basically getting to play D&D with real people out on set with costumes and whatever. And so I decided, like, that's what I want. Like, if you can get paid to do this, if this is a job, a career, I want it.
I get to play Flying My Way.
Yeah, exactly. I applied to film schools, and kind of like the rest was history. I mean, I've been obsessed with it ever since.
Wow. So you were technically discovered by taking your friend to an audition. You were so kind to drive her to an audition, and then like the universe seemed to like give you your direction, like, or whatever you want to call it, like your destiny was handed to you that day, so you could choose this direction, and you went to film school. Can you share with us the film school that you went to, if you like?
Oh, for sure. I went to the Academy of Art University in San Francisco. Wonderful film school. I mean, they put a camera in my I had been in class maybe 5 minutes, and they had already handed me a film camera. So
nice. No time
it was
like
awesome.
The present. Sink or swim. Get going.
Exactly. It was a very tough school, but still to this day, I could take apart a film camera inside a camera bag with exposed film. And as a director, I'm not a cinematographer at all, but they taught us everything. It was great. I had a wonderful time there.
Oh, beautiful. And so some of the obstacles, what was your first project in film school? Because you said that it's expensive to go to school and college and stuff, but you had some obstacles.
Mm-hmm.
Do you mind sharing with us some of the hardships that you had to overcome?
No, not at all. I think that it's very important to share the bad of people's journeys. All too often, people kind of focus on like how good they are at everything. I like sharing the bad because especially the film industry, it's hard. I mean, it's purposefully designed to keep people out. So I think a lot of people kind of like butt their heads against the wall and then give up. Going to film school, I mean, it was tough. It was an expensive school. It was in San Francisco. It's an expensive place to live. I had burned through all of my scholarship money previously or abandoned it when I changed majors. It wound up being a very, very tough decision riddled with challenges. So, I almost starved to death twice, just hadn't eaten in solid food in weeks, if not a month. I remember working and filling my stomach up with water just to get rid of the hunger pains. Wow. So I could keep working. I worked 3 jobs. There was a time where I couldn't even afford to ride the bus home from work after working a 72-hour shift. and wound up sleeping on the street in Chinatown because I was just exhausted and malnourished and couldn't get home. So I just dropped down right there on the main street in Chinatown and slept up against the wall for a couple hours and finished my walk home. So, it's tough. I even with how tough it was, though, I could not stop. There was no way I was going to drop out. There was no way I was going to, every time I wound up with a few extra bucks, it went to buying props for my next project or hiring an actor or, something to try to make my projects better. So,
yep.
I think that the challenges are what make our characters, right? Just like in our projects or in our scripts or our films, we throw stones at our characters, and we have, I have a lot of empathy for my characters because of what I went through to get to where I am. And so every time I beat up a character, I'm like, I feel you.
Yeah, and so you did have success. Can you share us how you got your how you did get that some success? Things got turned around for you.
Well, I was just I think perseverance more than anything else. I just I kept fighting, kept grinding, and started getting jobs. I was still in school when I got booked for a commercial gig to direct, and directed a pretty sizable 3 commercial spot for a large company, and loved every second of it, and did a reasonably good job with the turnaround and everything that we had. We did 3 company moves in one day. It was nuts. But and then just on and on and on. Wrote and directed a feature film and several shorts. And it's just been like seizing opportunity after opportunity from there on out. Right now I'm attached to direct 2 horror films. They'll be my first horror films, actually.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, and we were getting ready to shoot, and then COVID hit and has kind of put everything on hold. But it opened up other opportunities.
Yeah, and you have this beautiful novel, The Soul Saga. Can you tell us a little bit about your novel?
Yeah, sure. As my first novel, published during this year, January, first part of January, and wrote it, kind of during COVID. It was, one of those opportunities kind of presented itself, and it's pretty fun. Set 200 years in the future. Mankind is kind of spread out amongst the system, and a kind of conspiracy happens that sparks the beginning of a revolution / civil war. So pretty socially topical, very character based. So if you're into some of the stuff that I've talked about as far as characters go, you should check it out.
Yeah, and so can you tell everyone where they can keep up with you? You have a website, right, James?
Yep, thejamesfox.com. That's a good place to, you can subscribe to the newsletter there or whatever, or I'm on Instagram at James B. Fox Official. And that, has a link tree with all of the cool different links all the way around. My Goodreads page, the Amazon page for my book, and even a merch page that's fresh and new.
Oh yeah, we got. I'm sure our fans will support you. And real quickly, can you tell us, like, or about to get cut off, but your film that won the award?
Several, actually. The most recent and I think most successful is a screenplay, a television pilot that I wrote. That's actually based in the same universe as my book. So I took the pilot script and turned it into the novel series. But it's won something like 30 awards, I think, at this point. Some pretty good ones too. So it's ranked on the red list at Coverfly pretty regularly. And it's called Soul, S-O-L, just like the Soul Saga, but just Soul. So
wow, spectacular. So please, everyone, thanks James for coming on the show, and please check out the Soul Saga books. 2 and 3 are coming out, and his website, thejamesfox.com. A really wonderful story. I really appreciate everyone listening today. Thank you, James, so much for coming on the show today.
Thanks for having me.